Welcome back to the channel as we continue our series on the book Psycho-Cybernetics. Today's video is on Chapter 6, so if you haven't seen the previous videos, check them out, linked in the description below. Before we jump in, I'd like to thank you for watching, and if you wouldn't mind dropping a like on this video, it would really help get my videos seen by more people. When you subscribe, be sure and hit the notification bell so you know when we drop a new video. Alright, let's jump into Chapter 6, titled Relax and Let Your Success Mechanism Work for You. Stress has recently become a popular word in our language. We speak of this as the age of stress. Worry, anxiety, insomnia, stomach ulcers have become accepted as a necessary part of the world we live in. Yet I am convinced that it does not have to be that way. We could relieve ourselves of a vast load of care, anxiety, and worry if we could but recognize the simple truth that our Creator made ample provisions for us to live successfully in this or any other age by providing us with a built-in creative mechanism. Our trouble is that we ignore the automatic creative mechanism and try to do everything and solve all our problems by conscious thought or forebrain thinking. The forebrain is comparable to the operator of an electronic brain or any other type of servo mechanism. It is with the forebrain that we think I and feel our sense of identity. It is with the forebrain that we exercise imagination or set goals. We use the forebrain to gather information, make observations, evaluate incoming sense data, form judgments, but the forebrain cannot create. It cannot do the job to be done, any more than the operator of an electronic brain can do the work. It is the job of the forebrain to pose problems and to identify them, but by its very nature, it was never engineered to solve problems. He goes on to say that many people who have attempted to rid themselves of anxiety and worry or similar ailments all found that after years of trying, the only thing that seemed to work was when they got so frustrated and finally gave up on trying. It was only then that they saw the improvements that they had tried so hard to obtain. Proof of this phenomenon can be found in the experience of countless writers, inventors, and creative workers. They will tell you that creative ideas are not derived from conscious thought, but rather come as an inspiration when focused on an unrelated task or topic. It's important to note that these creative ideas don't just come about haphazardly. In order to receive a hunch or inspiration on a particular subject, one must first have a burning desire to solve the specific problem, gather all available information, and consider all possible courses of action. Once this is done, see the desired outcome in your mind and then let go with the idea that the answer will come to you. The common theme in related stories that he tells of various inventors or creatives involves a very intense focus and thought about the subject at hand, followed by a letting go and relaxation. This invariably offers the intended results. He makes the point that too often it's easy to write off this technique as being one reserved for the creative workers. He says that we are all creative workers in our own right. We all have the same success mechanism within us, whether we're solving interpersonal relationship issues or making multi-million-dollar business deals. We all have this creative ability at our disposal. The success mechanism within you can work in the same way to produce creative doing as it does to produce creative ideas. Skill in any performance, whether it be in sports and playing the piano, in conversation, or in selling merchandise, consists not in painfully and consciously thinking out each action as it is performed, but in relaxing and letting the job do itself through you. Creative performance is spontaneous and natural, as opposed to self-conscious and studied. The most skilled pianist in the world can never play a simple composition if he tried to consciously think out just which finger should strike which key while he was playing. He has given conscious thought to this matter previously, while learning, and practiced until his actions became automatic and habit-like. He was able to become a skilled performer only when he reached the point where he could cease conscious effort and turn the matter of playing over to the unconscious habit mechanism, which is part of the success mechanism. See guys, once we form the right habits, we don't need to think too much about them. They just happen because of how our minds work. In the same way, if we have formed the wrong habits, we don't need to think about them in order for our subconscious to work towards the things that are bad for us. Conscious effort inhibits and jams the automatic creative mechanism. The reason some people are self-conscious and awkward in social situations is simply that they are too consciously concerned, too anxious to do the right thing. They are painfully conscious of every move they make. Every action is thought out. Every word spoken is calculated for its effect. We speak of such persons as inhibited, and rightly so. But it would be more true were we to say that this person is not inhibited, but that the person has inhibited his own creative mechanism. If these people could let go, stop trying, not care, and give no thought to the matter of their behavior, they could act creatively, spontaneously, and be themselves. This is a really good point. If you've ever felt this way, drop me a comment down below if this resonates with you. I know from my personal experience this makes a lot of sense, and it wasn't until I let go of worrying about how I came across to people that I actually felt like I wasn't awkward. Next, he gives us 5 rules for freeing your creative machine. Number 1, do your worrying before you place your bet, not after the wheel starts turning. He lends this step to a businessman friend of his who loved to play roulette. Dr. Maltz had offered him this quote from William James. When once a decision is reached and execution is the order of the day, dismiss absolutely all responsibility and care about the outcome. Unclamp, in a word, your intellectual and practical machinery and let it run free. His friend said that this hit him many weeks later when in Vegas playing roulette. He noticed people who would not seem to worry at all prior to placing their bets were rather carefree about it, paying little attention to the odds, but when the wheel was spun, they would freeze up. He thought this to be a rather silly notion, thinking that the time to worry or be concerned about the odds would be before the bet was made, because at that stage, there would be something that you could do about it. After the wheel is turning, you might as well enjoy the ride because there's not much else to do. This is true in every aspect of our lives. If we have made a decision to do something, it's best to forget about what could happen because we already know what will happen. The decision has been made. Perhaps you're having a meeting with your boss and you are worrying about what might be said. You have 2 choices. First, you can decide not to take the meeting with your boss. If that's a viable option, then no need to worry because the meeting won't happen. Second, if you're definitely meeting with your boss, no way around it, no need to worry because it's going to happen regardless. No amount of worry is going to change that. Or let's say you are worried about going to a social function because you're more of an introvert. Now you have a decision to make. If your ultimate goal is to grow and face your fears and do things that make you feel uncomfortable, then stop worrying about it because the decision is already made. Step number 2, form the habit of consciously responding to the present moment. Consciously practice the habit of taking no anxious thought for tomorrow by giving all your attention to the present moment. Your creative mechanism cannot function or work tomorrow. It can only function in the present, today. Make long-range plans for tomorrow, but don't try to live in tomorrow or in the past. Creative living means responding and reacting to environment spontaneously. Your creative mechanism can respond appropriately and successfully to present environment only if you have your full attention upon present environment and give it information concerning what is happening now. Plan all you want for the future, prepare for it, but don't worry about how you will react tomorrow or even 5 minutes from now. Your creative mechanism will react appropriately in the now if you pay attention to what is happening now. It will do the same tomorrow. It cannot react successfully to what may happen, but what is happening. I've sometimes found myself overcome with anxiety or worry to a point that it would be hard for me to go to sleep because my mind is moving too fast. A good little trick that I use is just saying to myself over and over, there's nothing that I can do to solve this problem right now. And this would relax me and I can actually get some sleep. I remember reading a story, and I wish I could remember from what book, where the author was relating a story of a man who was the sole worker in the information booth at a train station, I believe. The author noticed that this man was surrounded by all these, we will say, agitated people who were vying to get their urgent questions answered. In this seeming chaos, the man was very calm and was only addressing the person he was directly helping. No one else seemed to exist to this man while he was helping one person. When it was finally the author's turn to get their question answered, they noticed the same treatment by the information man. No one else seemed to exist in that moment. At the end, the author asked the man, "How do you deal with a bunch of people all day?" The man looked at him, smiled, and said, "I don't deal with a bunch of people. I only deal with one person at a time." When this author walked away, he continued to notice this man's calm manner, continuing with the other people he helped. And Dr. Maltz mentions how Alcoholics Anonymous uses the same principle when they say, "Don't try to stop drinking forever, merely say, I will not drink today." That is why probably one of the most famous slogans from AA is "one day at a time." If you take a moment to look around your surroundings and notice things in your environment, you will become more present. Just the act of stopping your automatic programming for a moment to observe will bring you closer to the present moment. Here is how you do that. Whatever you're doing right now, presumably listening to this video, just stop for a minute and observe your surroundings. Touch things and be present with what they feel like. Listen to the sounds that you've become desensitized to. Look at things you've seen a million times and find something about them that you haven't consciously noticed before. You will be awed by some of the simplest things in your everyday world and wonder why you were never aware. Okay, step number 3. Try to do only one thing at a time. Trying to do more than one thing at a time in order to maximize our effectiveness is ironically why we are not as productive as we hope to be. We cause a great deal of anxiety by attempting to do the impossible. We sometimes believe that we should be able to accomplish everything we need to do all at once. When we feel jittery, anxious, or overwhelmed because of the great deal of work before us, it's not because of the work. It's because that we feel like we ought to be able to do it all at once. This is impossible, and we should ask ourselves if this is a rational thought. Remember, we cannot hold in our minds a thought that is contrary to another deeply held belief. In this case, it is absolutely irrational to think that we can accomplish everything all at once. Therefore, the rational answer is that we do one thing at a time. Step number 4, sleep on it. Sometimes our mind just needs time to work the problems out. He speaks of many writers, speakers, inventors, and business people whose methods include thinking intensely about a problem or idea right before going to sleep, and then getting some inspiration or dream solving the issue upon waking. One thing I would like to point out is that nothing is urgent. Everything can wait a day while you sleep on the solution. Finally, step number 5, relax while you work. Practice exercise. In Chapter 4, you learned how to induce physical and mental relaxation while resting. Continue with this daily practice in relaxation, and you will become more and more proficient. In the meantime, you can induce something of that relaxed feeling and the relaxed attitude while going about your daily activities, if you will form the habit of mentally remembering the nice, relaxed feeling that you induced. Stop occasionally during the day. It need only take a moment and remember in detail the sensations of relaxation. Remember how your arms felt, your legs, back, neck, face. Sometimes forming a mental picture of yourself lying in bed or sitting relaxed and limp in an easy chair helps recall the relaxed sensations. Mentally repeating to yourself several times, "I feel more and more relaxed," also helps. Practice this remembering faithfully several times each day. You will be surprised at how much it reduces fatigue and how much better you are able to handle situations. For by relaxing and maintaining a relaxed attitude, you remove those excessive states of concern, tension, and anxiety which interfere with the efficient operation of your creative mechanism. In time, your relaxed attitude will become a habit, and you will no longer need to consciously practice it. Okay, guys, that's it for Chapter 6 of Psycho-Cybernetics. In this chapter, we learned that the creative mechanism works best when not under stress. It's okay to give it a lot of stimuli in the beginning to let it know that you have a problem that you're working on, but after you've pursued the avenues of information and all available resources, let it go and let your subconscious do its job. Continually and consciously worrying about an issue will only inhibit its solving. We learned that worrying after a decision is made is fruitless and causes undue stress and anxiety. Consciously responding to the present moment and doing one thing at a time is a great method to pull ourselves out from a pattern of nervousness and unease. Take the time to observe your present world and use your senses that have become desensitized to your present reality. Lastly, relax while you work, and when you run into issues, sleep on it. Don't fret, just know the answers will come when you let go. Do me a favor and drop a like on this video, and when you subscribe, be sure and tick the notification bell so YouTube can let you know when we come out with a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.